The mission of the City of Oxford is to serve and improve our community by providing high-quality, affordable services, sound planning for growth and development, and offering the highest possible quality of life while maintaining the public's trust through open communication and ethical standards at all times. Any of you all that might have phones or other electronic devices with you, I would please ask you at this time to mute them or turn them off. I would also like folks to know that Commissioner Fields unfortunately has a terrible case of vertigo and so is unable to make her way to City Hall to join us tonight, and she does extend her deepest regrets. And at this time, I would like to invite Reverend Bruce Beck, for all of those who are so inclined, of West Oxford Baptist Church, to lead us in prayer for those who are so inclined. Thank you, Reverend Beck.
Let's pray. Father, do just pray for your healing upon Ms. Fields. Pray that you would restore her health. And Father, it is a joy to be back together. And you have been good to this community. You have been good to the leadership, and we praise you for that. We praise you for what you're doing here, and we pray that you would lead us and guide us tonight. Father, we pray that we would continue just to be driven to serve. Father, we pray that we would continue to be a people of this community willing to do what's best for our community. And so thank you for that leadership that you have shown through your people, and pray that you would continue to bless this community, that you would continue to prosper Oxford for your good. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Amen.
Thank you very much, Reverend. And at this time, Commissioner John Toby will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
For those of you that can, will you please stand, face the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. At this time, I'd like to do the presentation for the June Yard of the Month, and I'd like to know whether Mike Parrott is here in the audience. There you are. Please come forward. We're going to be right there in the front. Well, what a pleasure it is to see you here tonight. Michael and his wife Haven have done a tremendous job working on their yard. We have a certificate for you that says this certificate is awarded to Michael and Haven Parrott of 304 Raleigh Street. It is the most pristine, full, non-weedy grass lawn. This is just really amazing.
Haven does it all.
You think?
Yeah, she does it all.
Okay, well, we'll let you tell us more. In recognition, so we have this certificate in recognition of their very valuable contribution towards the beauty of our community, presented this 8th day of June 2021. And I would ask you, please, put your hands together and give them a big round of applause. It really is gorgeous. You got to swing by. The house is beautiful. The yard is great. So we're sorry that Haven can't be here, but we're certainly happy that you can. Really? You won't do anything in this yard?
I'm bored.
Well, you know, that uses the fun stuff
Right.
for Haven.
Yeah.
So how much time do you think she spends in the yard?
She probably spends 3 or 4 hours a week, probably.
Pretty consistently.
Yeah.
Do you know if there's anything particular that you think is fabulous about your yard, or that she's particularly proud of?
The edge trimming. I bought an edge trimmer, and it makes all the difference in the world.
Oh, really? You're going along the sidewalk?
My sidewalks are beautiful.
Okay. Well, give them a round of applause. So we have for you, we have this book from Louis Bowling that he wrote for our 200th anniversary in 2016, looking back 200 years of Oxford history, and Oxford, North Carolina, green and clean license plate for one of your cars.
Thank you.
And we thank you for setting a great example, certainly for us, our yard, don't look anything like yours, and for everybody else in Oxford, and we appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. And now I have two proclamations to read for downtown businesses that will be no more. And so what I would like to do is invite them both up, and I'll do one and the other. So I see Kevin King and Lori Stevens here from Cold Printing, and Lee Height, where did you go? From, there you are, from Sunrise Biscuits. So if you will please come up and you'll bear with me, I'd like to read a proclamation for each one of them. And I know that none of these, let me,
Thank you, ma'am.
good to see you here, Lori, Lee, so good to see you. So we are all terribly chagrined to see these businesses go away from downtown Oxford. And they have both, in their very, very different ways, meant a lot to our community. I'm going to start with Sunrise Biscuits because Lee made the decision to close then, I think, in November. Am I correct? And so we are happy for you to be moving on to something that is more workable for you, but we certainly aren't so happy not to have Sunrise Biscuits be part of town. So we have Sunrise Biscuits, Wesley Lee Height. Whereas Wesley Lee Height was born and raised in Henderson in 1960 and left home to attend East Carolina University. And whereas Lee Height came back to the area in 1981 and started his work career at the Stadium in Carolina Lanes before moving on to Rosa's Store in 1984. And whereas two fraternity brothers opened the first Sunrise Biscuit Kitchen in 1977 in Henderson, North Carolina, the second in Lewisburg in 1978, and the third in Oxford in 1981. And whereas Sunrise Biscuits in Oxford was a quick success, operating from 5:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m., 7 days a week, selling the tastiest biscuits and fillings around, whereupon Lee Height took the opportunity to purchase the business in 1998. And whereas Sunrise Biscuits was so popular that convenience stores approached Lee to ask for their own early morning allotment of biscuits, we served as a drawing card for them and a way to advertise for Lee Height. And whereas for 10 to 12 years, Sunrise Biscuit staff started their days earlier than usual in order to service 8 convenience stores before opening the doors to serve 200 to 300 people per day, at least 50% of them repeat customers, and many coming in 7 days a week. And whereas Lee Height maintains that the employees are the ones who made the business, especially Cora Witt, Dorothy Gibbs, and Shirley Matthews. And whereas Sunrise Biscuits in Oxford was the place to go for many visiting from out of town, including my own son, and was mentioned in our state magazine not once but twice. And whereas the best thing about operating Sunrise Biscuit for Lee was meeting all the people in Oxford and beyond, some who were such regulars that their biscuits were prepared for them without being ordered. Now, therefore, I, Jacqueline Vanderwerf, Mayor of the City of Oxford, along with the Oxford Board of Commissioners, do hereby recognize Lee Height and his staff for making it look easy to operate at a consistently popular dining spot, non-stop, 7 days a week, for 22 years, serving 1.6 to 2.4 million customers over that time period, and making everyone happy while they did so. We thank you, we celebrate you, and we miss you. May your road be smooth and the wind ever at your back. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of Oxford, North Carolina, to be affixed this 8th day of June, 2021. Please give this man a round of applause. And please stay up here. I'm sure there are a lot of people that are still thinking, can Thelonious open it back up? But is there anything you would like to say?
I'd just like to tell everybody thank you. I wish I could do it again, but I can't. I'm not in the shape to do it anymore.
Well-
Thank everybody for their support.
We sure appreciate every biscuit you ever made there, no doubt. Stay up here for a minute and I will read for Coble Printing. Lori Stevens, Kevin, and Claudia King. Whereas in 1928, Dan A. Coble was owner of the Oxford Public Ledger and determined to sell the newspaper to Atlas Nathaniel Critcher while keeping a print shop for himself and his son to run as a separate business that he named Coble Printing Company. And whereas the initial location of Coble Printing was on Little John Street and remained there until 1966 when it moved to its current Hillsborough Street location. And whereas Dan's son, C.E. Coble, exchanged the printing business for bills due to Dr. Noblin in 1960, who then sold the business to Dermot Hedrick, who then sold it to his sister Josephine, or Josie, a bookkeeper, and her husband Earl Rose, who was a typesetter. And whereas Rodney Rose took over the business from his parents in 1983, although some say Josie still ran the company, Rod just thought he owned it, splitting it into printing and office supply, which his father Earl managed. And whereas Lori Stevens started working at Coble Printing as a graphic artist in 1984 after graduating from Central Piedmont Community College with a degree in commercial art, later being trained as a typesetter, and then in the darkroom, making the shift to computers when the first Macintosh came on the scene. And whereas in upstate New York in 1977, Kevin King earned a degree in communications media and AV technology, starting his printing career right out of college as well. He then trained as a typesetter and to run the cameras before moving to Brodock Press in Utica for 13 years, where he learned to run the large 40-inch press. And whereas the South and Harper Prince of Henderson beckoned both Kevin and Claudia King to the area in 1994, and Kevin started to work at Coble Printing in the year 2000. And whereas when Rodney Rose died in 2003, Kevin and Lori decided to buy the business together, operating it with Claudia until May 28, 2021, providing personal service to all customers, no matter how small the job, investing in a wide format printer that could print banners and canvases to help weather the shifting tides of technology and the internet. And whereas the best thing about running Coble Printing Company has been not only getting to know and receiving the support of the nice folks in Oxford and Granville County, but also the pride of ownership and bringing it into the digital age. Now therefore, I, Jacqueline Vanderhorst Sergeant, Mayor of the City of Oxford, along with our Oxford Board of Commissioners, do hereby recognize Lori Stevens and Kevin King for giving 18 more years of life to an historic downtown business, and with Claudia devotedly working with churches, funeral homes, family reunions, weddings, and all those in between to deliver a quality product always. You and your business right down the street will be missed. May you be proud of your impact and thrive as you venture forth. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of Oxford, North Carolina to be affixed this 8th day of June, 2021. 93 years in business, the last 18.
Thank you to the community for support, the county, everyone. Thank you.
Come in a little closer, and if you'll take your thing and hold it, Lori, if you'll unfold it back, and I need to give you a second one for each of you. Unfold it and hold it out, and then Cindy can do a picture of all of us. If you're okay with me, I'll do this, and if you won't. Oh, no, because I think it's one, you, here, you and Lori hold it
All right.
together.
Good
There
idea.
you go. Awesome.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We love you. We love you. We miss you, and we salute you. Lori, let me give you and Kevin. Here you go. Lee, do you need a second one? Do you need a second one? Okay, great.
Put it up in your bag.
Okay, there you go.
It is now.
Thank you.
Thank you all very much. And with that, I would like to introduce Sharissa Puryear of the Granville County Cooperative Extension. And she is going to come up to the podium and discuss the new programming schedule for the Granville Street Center. And so, Sharissa, there you are. Please come forward, along with our recreation. Oh, excuse me. It looks like I did a fatal error. Probably not the first time. I apologize. I failed to consider adjustments to an approval of the agenda. So with that, yes, sir.
I have a requested adjustment for the board after everyone else has the
Okay,
opportunity.
absolutely. So please, board members, colleagues, forgive me for that oversight. Thank you, Ms. Bowen, for bringing it to my attention. Is there anything that any of the board wants to bring up with respect to any adjustments to the agenda? Okay, with that, Mr. Thornton?
I'd like for the board to request adding a closed session as per General Statute 143-318.11A6, which is in regards to personnel items.
Okay, excellent. What's the pleasure of the board? Is that,
Motion to approve the agenda with the addition.
okay? Any discussion? Okay, well then, all in favor of approving the agenda with the addition of a closed session at the end of the meeting to discuss personnel matters, signal so by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign? Okay, that motion carries unanimously. And just for the record, you cannot imagine how great it is to be able to say that instead of having to do a roll call on Zoom. This is great. Okay, and also, per my usual, I normally ask if there are any conflicts of interest with respect to any matters coming before the board tonight. Any conflicts of interest or appearance of such? Okay, let the record so know. Thank you again. And with that, Miss Tina Cheek and Sharissa Puryear, take it away.
All right, sorry that wasn't awkward at all. Just hanging out. So a lot of you already know Teresa, and I'm excited for the opportunity to introduce her both as our partner with the Parks and Recreation Department and our new Granville Street building programs, as well as the new County Extension Director. And she can certainly give you a little bit more information about that. But she's also got two other members of her team here tonight, and that's LaTanya Oakley, who I met during the Best Leadership Granville class ever, class of 2019, and also Tiana Jones. And I've had the pleasure of working with Teresa at JCPC, the Juvenile Crime Prevention Commission or Council, and I actually learned about her programs through that, the opportunity to serve on that board. So once I saw what she was doing with Teen Court and some of the mentoring and different things like that, I felt like it would be a really good fit for us in wanting to start programs back at Granville Street. So I'm going to let her kind of introduce your team and also talk a little bit about the programs that you're going to be offering there. Now stand up here.
Good afternoon, everybody. Good evening. It's 7 o'clock, isn't it? Again, I'm Teresa Puryear, the County Extension Director, and I appreciate you allowing us to be here this evening. Tina and I started talking about this, I guess it's been about 2 years, life before COVID, trying to figure out some things about Granville Street. And when she told me that there was an opportunity, I'm always looking for opportunities for our youth in different places in the community. So I was excited, and we went over there and I saw the beautiful, I guess the groundwork around in the neighborhood and just the landscape. So I just imagined all these ideas of what we could do and work together. So I do want to introduce LaTanya Oakley, who is the founder and coordinator for our Key Matters and Unwrapping the Gift mentoring program. So that'll be one of the programs that we have over there at Granville Street. And so they typically meet on Mondays and Thursdays, and so it'll be a good opportunity. We were already thinking about ideas for spaces and things like that, and coordinating with some of the other programs in our office with like the gardening. We're hoping to possibly do like a community garden that the youth can run and try to work. So we were already thinking about ideas, and hopefully by the end of the summer we'll have that together. And I do want to introduce Tiana Jones, who's our new youth programs coordinator, new teen court coordinator. who will be taking over those roles. And we're looking to do some workshops and some trainings over there as well, and having her and LaTanya collaborate on some projects with you. So we have a lot of ideas. I can tell you, LaTanya is great at sprucing up spaces and making them, it's gonna look like a totally new space. And we're excited to have the kids there. And we're excited to be in the community, because when we've gone over there a few times, people come out on the porches and they're trying to see what we're doing. And so we're really excited to be able to show them and share some of the information that we're doing. So we are looking forward to this partnership and excited to see what comes this year. So we'll hopefully be able to come next year and tell you all the great programs and invite you out to some of the ones that we're doing as well.
Great.
Thank you. Colleagues, any questions for Ms. Puryear?
Have you had much interaction with the local boys and girls around that area?
Not
that are
yet.
interested?
Not yet. We're hoping by being in the building that they'll see more movement, that we'll be
Right.
able to draw the attention of a lot of the youth
And
that
they-
are around there, and hopefully we can say, come on over.
They
So
can
we
come
want to
in and
do
be- they can
so
come in
maybe
and
the
be
end of the
nosy.
summer. So
Yeah.
I think if we make it look busy, and
Good.
they'll start wondering what we're doing in there. If anything, the nosiness will bring them over there, hopefully.
Great, that's great, that's great, that's great.
Just
anything else?
wonder whether or not teen court will continue to be a part of what you'll be doing, or is that going to be in someone else's hands?
It is going to be in Ms. Tiana's hands, but it will never be completely out of my hands. It is my heart, so I will definitely be supporting her role. But Tiana has a good grasp of it. She is came through the program as a volunteer. As an attorney, a youth attorney, and graduated from South Granville, went on to UNC Chapel Hill, and she was working the community service program in Wake County. So she has a lot of knowledge that she's bringing in, a lot of new ideas and councils that she wants to start. So I'm excited of the ideas that she'll be bringing, but I will definitely be back around.
Yeah. And you know, Ms. Puryear is probably going to be a little modest about things, but I've been knowing her for 20 years. And I know that she has worked with our youth for many years in the teen court program. And just like she mentioned about Ms. Jones back there, who is a college graduate and doing very well, and now participating in the program, there are a lot of young people that came through the teen court program who graduated college, and a couple of engineers. And Miss Oakley back there, you know, she had a lot to do with getting straight my daughters, because they went through her program. And so it's not just for young people that may be in certain neighborhoods who are having difficulty, but it's anybody whose young people need direction. And we are so fortunate to have you three ladies working with our youth.
Thank you. And we appreciate all the work that you've done with Teen Court, and we're hoping that you'll continue, because we are coming back. So I'm just going to put that out there right here. Absolutely.
Absolutely. So are you planning at this point, do you have plans for regular hours or programs, or you're still working on that?
We're still working on it. We're hoping this summer will be kind of the renovation period and getting it ready. But our plan is to start in there in September when school starts, and then trying to get the regular hours of probably starting with Mondays and Thursdays with the mentoring program, and then some of the workshops and some of our trainings. But right now, that's the only planned hours. But we would look to do some things sometimes on the weekend or just some different activities. So nothing concrete yet, but we do plan to start when the school starts. We'll spend the summer kind of renovating this house.
Awesome, awesome. So, Ms. Cheek, I hope that you will let us know when something solid gets started, so that we can help spread the word and let people know, because this is really an exciting new opportunity in a new, you know, was it Jackie? Who was it that ran the program? She was before your time, this team. Anyway, there was a program in there, and then it's lain fallow for quite a while. Jones, yes, thank you. So it's been quite a while. It's been a number of years since we've had something going on there, and so this is super exciting. So just keep us posted and let us know.
Thank you.
Anything else from anybody else? Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
And at this time, I would like to invite Matthew Selves, who is the Public Safety Risk Management Consultant for the North Carolina League of Municipalities, to come forward to our podium and talk about his recognition of the Oxford Police Department.
Again, thank you for this evening. Thank you for that warm welcome. My name is Matthew Selves. I am the Public Safety Risk Management Consultant with the North Carolina League of Municipalities. Thank you, Mayor and Oxford Board of Commissioners, for this time and recognizing the Oxford Police Department for completing the North Carolina League's Law Enforcement Risk Review Management Program. Now, the Risk Review is a comprehensive program that covers about 36 different categories, and it talks about high-risk policies, operations, procedures, and includes a detailed on-site agency administrative and operations review, including looking and inspecting equipment, facility inspections. We conduct officer interviews. We do observations of operations, all to validate that practices align with policies, in turn with industry's best practices. The review is supported by the North Carolina Association of Chiefs of Police, and I'm proud this evening to report that the Oxford Police Department has successfully completed the law enforcement risk review process for the second time. It completed it 3 years ago. This is the second time around. We do it every 3 years. The chief, command staff, and the department's officers prioritized this initiative and made this process a department priority. The department was very proactive and involved during the whole process. I want to thank Chief Coley, Captain Curl, Lieutenant Stockwell for their leadership and their willingness to participate in this very important initiative. They were very open and honest and transparent during the whole process. Now, I myself have spent 24 years in law enforcement. I was a police chief for 12 years in town of Troutman, North Carolina, in Iredell County, near Lake Norman area, if anybody knows where that is. And have additionally worked with a number of agencies across the state. The officers that I work with and observe demonstrate a very high level of commitment to their communities and in best practices enhance professional policing and to positively impact the communities and relationships. Again, I want to thank the chief, the captain, and lieutenant for their help on this. It was great. It was easy. It made my job a lot easier. They were very helpful, and again, I'd like to congratulate them. And I have a plaque I'd like to present to them tonight.
Okay, Ivan, why don't you come up this way, and I think that needs to be the command staff and you, Mr. Sells.
Thank you.
And to come up.
Okay, so this is the plaque here. The North Carolina League of Municipalities recognizes the Oxford Police Department for completing the Law Enforcement Risk Review Management Program, proactively serving the community in a professional manner while taking steps to minimize risk to citizens and officers, presented June 8, 2021. From
Chief, is there anything you would like to say?
Yes, ma'am. Most importantly, I'd like to thank the command staff and officers of Oxford Police Department, along with the city manager, who gives us the autonomy and the support, along with the board, for all that they do, and helping us, because it's a community effort. Like I said, anytime our trends go in the right direction, and they have been for the last few years, it's not us alone. We didn't do it by ourselves. It's y'all. And we thank you for the concern that you have and the input that you give us. And we just hope to keep building tighter and stronger relationships with the community and to keep our community safe. And if we see something, say something. And other than that, just thank you.
Thank you, sir. Well done. Thank you and congratulations to each of you, and thank you very much, Mr. Selves, for coming all this way to make this presentation.
Thank you very much.
And with that, it is time for public comment now, where people may come forward and speak about agenda as well as non-agenda items. And we have Baba Carr, who is signed in. Baba, will you please come forward and state your address and your purpose for speaking tonight?
My name is Baba Carr. Well, hello everyone. It's good to see you after this serious pandemic, and thank God we are all alive. My name is Baba Carr. My address is 7089 Bayberry Drive, Oxford, NC 27565. I greet all commissioners and I greet the mayor, and in a special way, the police have a very special part in my heart, so I will greet you, sir, and all your hard police workers. I greet the community and I say to you, I do hope and pray that as we move along, we will we'll work together in making Oxford the best city in the United States of America. It's possible. Greetings to all the commissioners and the mayor of Oxford. Greetings to all the residents of Oxford. I thank you for the opportunity to speak today, and I would like to speak on something that is dear to my heart and to the heart of our children. This is a erecting of a pool to ensure that the children of Oxford can have the use of a pool for swimming. The fact of the matter is that this has been an issue for a long time. And it seems the closer we get to a solution, the further we get in making one. The pool we have now is not adequate to take care of our children's needs. The fact is the availability and amount of children requiring service from the pool is overwhelming. Why is it that the children cannot get a pool to enjoy themselves? This year in particular has been a challenging year with the corona pandemic. The extra burden of using Zoom for the education. Therefore, the children just need a place for relaxation. It seems sometimes, myself included, that as adults, we forget the need of the children who simply want to have some fun. I believe that we owe it to our children to erect the pool. I understand that the majority of our commissioners are in agreement on this topic. Well, my question is simply this. When will the children of Oxford get a suitable pool for their relaxation? Thank you, commissioners, for doing the right thing on behalf of our deserving children. Yours respectfully, Deacon Baba A. Carr, BA, MA, and I've been a teacher for 40 years, and let me tell you something. It is very necessary that children get relaxation after they've done their work. I thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Carr. And please forgive my coughing. I have the vestiges of a head cold that my granddaughter gave me, so I apologize. Thank you very much. We will move forward now. To a public hearing to receive citizen input regarding the fiscal year 2021-22 budget. The city manager presented his fiscal year 2021-2022 budget on May 11th, 2021. A public hearing is required pursuant to North Carolina General Statute 159-12. So with that, I declare the public hearing open and invite anyone from the section to my right to come forward and speak at the podium. Is there anyone in the section to my right that would like to speak? Okay. Is there anyone in the center section who would like to come forward and speak? Is there anyone in the section to our left that would like to come forward and speak? Okay. One last call. Would anyone like to come forward to the podium and speak about concerns on the 2021-22 budget? Yes, ma'am. Ms. Roberson, come forward, please.
I said I wasn't going to speak tonight, but I just need to say a few things. You did that right, Rob. Okay, my name is Joan Robertson. I live at 502 North Country Club Drive in Oxford. And there was a discussion a couple of weeks ago or last week or sometime that regarded the increase in pay. It was a personnel meeting, and it involved the increase in pay of the employees of the city. There was some discussion about the police department, and they're having a difficult time now getting good police officers and keeping good police officers. And I think that, speaking for our community, that you know, there are all kinds of things that go on. They never know when they walk out the door if they're going to go back home. And to do an across-the-board raise for all employees to focus on the equity, I think you need to look at the risk factor that our officers are exposed to every single day. I don't know what the result of that discussion was. I don't know where the budget stands on that. I couldn't find it in the summary that we received tonight. But I would ask the board to consider carefully that we need our police officers. And when they continue to, it's nice to get the recognition like they got tonight. I was glad to see that. But when they are not given the money, the respect that they deserve from the risk that they're taking for us, because I have never called them when they didn't show up. So I would please ask the board to consider that as you're considering the raises for the city. I'm not saying that all city employees aren't important, and in this time and place that we're in, where people have been out of work, everybody needs extra money. But these guys and gals that go out and not know what they're facing, it's a shame if we don't consider that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Thornton, would you like to speak right now to the discussion we had specific to the police department at that meeting?
I certainly can. I know there's been a lot of discussion on some of the social media sites in regards to the conversation that was had at that personnel committee meeting. And I'm sorry that the chairman can't be here tonight to assist me with that. I hope she's doing well. Having had one round of vertigo in my entire life, I don't wish that on anybody. That's some bad stuff. But there were a lot of things that have been presented on Facebook and on social media that I honestly questioned myself if I had attended the same meeting that these folks apparently believe that they were watching. And don't get me wrong, no one is disputing the fact that we want the police department to continue to function in the highest capacity possible. And I don't believe that to a man, any board member, and I'm not going to speak for all of them, but having known them now for going into my 5th year, there is not a single one that does not support the police department here in the city of Oxford. But what was discussed at that board meeting, or excuse me, at that committee meeting, was that we were having a general conversation about compensation going into this upcoming budget year, which begins July the 1st. And the budget, as prepared by the budget officer, who is also yours truly, was discussing whether it was the appropriate time to begin merit pay and implement merit pay. And the budget, as was presented to the board at that time, discussed the option of implementing merit pay by stating that there was funding available and that the budget officer and manager believed that it was the appropriate time to start looking at merit pay and its implementation and the merits of merit pay. And we were having that general conversation in regards to the issue of what were we going to do come time to implement this budget on July the 1st. And it got off track a little bit because we were having really a conversation in total about merit pay and or what we were going to do to make sure that the compensation issue for the city staff was addressed. And during that committee meeting, the recommendation that came from that committee was to continue to look at merit pay in terms of the better understanding by the board, being elected officials, as to what merit pay program would be implemented and how it would be implemented so that it is fair. And anyone who's in this audience and on this board, I hope, understands merit pay and its principles. And merit pay has its pluses and it has its minuses. It has its pluses if it's implemented and administered properly. It has many detrimental effects if it is not done so in that fashion. So those committee members and I were having that conversation, and essentially a recommendation came from that committee to hold off on implementing merit pay until such time as the committee and ultimately the board could better understand and review what process that we were going to utilize, because we don't have a merit pay system currently, to ensure fairness. Honestly, that's the way that I looked at it, is that we were going to do it in such a fashion that all employees in their performance evaluations and decisions regarding merit pay were reviewed and looked upon equally as far as the process. So that wasn't going to happen by July 1st. So the recommendation that came from that board, while having a more extended conversation about the police department in general and its challenges, which is not just here in Oxford, but all across the nation, the recommendation was for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2021, is for all employees to receive a 4% cost of living adjustment, which I believe is the single largest cost of living adjustment in the last 8 years at least that city staff has received, and that the city manager investigate having a salary study done individually for the police department, which I have done, and I have that information ready to discuss with the board tonight, by a consultant who would come in and essentially review all the classifications and their salaries for the police department of the city of Oxford as we exist in the recruitment and retention market for employees that we exist in. We're a municipality of roughly 9,000 people. We're not Charlotte, Raleigh, or Durham, or any other. And we are in competition for police officers, not only to attract but to retain, and we need to fully and properly understand where we exist in that market before making snap decisions. That was done three and a half years ago. The market's changed a little bit, so it's appropriate and it's time to do that. And with that information, I believe that management and the board can make a better, more informed decision regarding how to potentially adjust some of those salaries that may need to be adjusted. That was really the discussion that was held, and all of the things that came to me from social media. And don't get me wrong, I'm not on social media. I don't have a social media account on Facebook, TikTok, Flip-Flop, or any of the others. I stay off of them. And but my assistant keeps me up to speed on all of the conversations and discussions about things going on in Oxford. And some of my board members were singled out and blasted in regards to a few things, and I I don't think that that's proper. And I want to clear the record that this board is very concerned about the Oxford Police Department and its status, as well as all of the departments and the employees of the city of Oxford. And I think that they have shown that and have illustrated that by approving budgets that I have prepared for the last 4 years, which have upgraded equipment, facilities, training, and on and on and on for the city of Oxford for the benefit of the citizens of this community. And I believe that they will continue to do that, but they need to be armed with the proper information before they do that. And I will say this and I will be quiet. The last salary survey that was done, and it was performed by an outside independent consultant, third party, that didn't have any connections here to the community, came in and performed a salary survey for all the positions that the city of Oxford has. And really, at the end of the day, the determination was that the city of Oxford at that time, about three and a half years ago, as far as the police department and its positions were concerned, sat basically about in the middle of those that were surveyed. And we surveyed, or she surveyed, about 12 different communities, Melissa, roughly, of our size in our region that we were in competition with for talent. And we were right out in the middle. We weren't the highest and we weren't the lowest. So I think we still exist somewhere in that realm. There's a lot of talk about how Oxford pays the lowest and does the least and does all these kinds of things. And I mean, as recently as last week, I saw a story on ABC 11 in Durham where the sheriff's department was out at a job fair trying to recruit officers for the Durham Sheriff's Department. They were 44 officers short, and their starting salary was less than ours. So that's Durham County. That's a much bigger organization than we have here, and they pay less. So I know that right now during these times that there is a lot of emphasis, there is a lot of concern in regards to police officers and what they do. And believe me, I think everyone in this room backs the blue. I believe everybody does just that. And I certainly do. I think that the command staff of the police department that is here tonight knows that full well, and I will continue to do so. But anything that is done must be done in such a fashion as how it relates to, number one, what is fair, what is proper, and what reaction that it also causes within the organization itself, because it will have a cause and effect within the organization. But having said that, that is what has transpired. That is what is currently within the budget. The budget itself will accommodate that recommendation coming from the Personnel Committee as it's presented tonight and as it sits in front of you on the dais for your consideration of adoption.
Thank you, Mr. Thornton. And I would like to add, I believe there was also a request coming out of the committee meeting that at the same time as you and there's research done on how we would go about implementing a merit pay system, that there would also be discussion on creating a career development plan.
Absolutely.
So that it isn't that we're going to be moving, we're going to do one thing and a year is going to go by and then we're going to do another thing, that we'll be looking at all of those things at the same time. And lastly, for the benefit of the board and the question, can you speak, because with respect to the very specific salary study for the PD, what kind of timeline do you anticipate that to be?
I did not bring the email from Ms. Manning, but that is an August time frame. She is currently engaged in 2 other projects right now and is trying to take a personal vacation in that time frame as well. So we're looking at August.
August for a start, provided the board approves the conditions?
She does not believe that it would take beyond 40 to 45 hours once she begins, because it is departmental.
Okay.
specific.
Great.
It's not citywide, full-blown, and she's already got, familiarity and information that we are constantly providing her and sending her on a regular basis.
Excellent. Thank you very much. I so appreciate that. So with that, are there any other comments from, yes, sir? And then I'm going to check and see if anybody else wants to come forward and speak.
Well, I hear everything that the manager says about that last meeting, but I just want to say again, and I'm sorry, well actually I'm not sorry to keep bringing it up. There are two departments in this city that when they get a call, they go out, they don't know whether they're coming home or not. They've got no idea. That's the fire department and the police department. So my personal view is they should be a special case. And I hope the board and the manager take that into account, that they should be a special case. And I speak from personal experience that when you get a call, you don't know what's on the end of that phone. An innocuous call could cost you your life. Wake Forest, that incident in Wake Forest, I think it was last week, illustrates that fact, where that policeman knocked at the door and he got shot 3 times. So two departments really need, that's the fire department and the police department. So I just hope we can take that into consideration when we have these talks and chats.
Thank you very much,
I
sir.
would like to ask, because it was I'm not on the personnel committee, but I was in favor of the 4% cost of living raise. I said at the meeting, the first budget finance meeting, that everything, gas, housing, food, clothing, everything's gone up. Everybody with our city deserved a raise. Commissioner Tovey said he would support a substantial raise for the police department. So 4% is not substantial. What's substantial? 10%?
10% would be good.
How much would that be?
I don't know. I mean,
Over $200,000
Right.
for the police
Well,
department. So we couldn't make a decision at that personnel
Not at that
committee
time,
meeting
no, not at that
to
time.
give a $200,000 raise.
No. Not at that time.
It's going to take this discussion.
Yeah.
And that's what I
understand
was
that.
in favor of. And I hope people understand that.
Thank you.
I don't think they do. They didn't, from the committee meeting, they didn't understand.
Okay, thank you. Is there, we are in the middle of our public hearing for the budget. If anybody from the audience would like to come forward, as I invite you, please come forward, state your name, your address, and your position. And Ms. Robertson, did you actually state your name and address for the record?
Yes, she did.
Okay, I apologize. Thank you. Yes, and this is the public hearing for the budget.
I understand that, Madam Mayor. Austin Carr again, Baba Carr, anyone you want. The fact that 7089, same address, 7089 Bayberry Drive. Let me say that I agree 150, no, I'm a math teacher, 100% with Commissioner Tovey. The police should be considered above all. They put their lives on the line for us, and they should be considered. There is no way we cannot consider the police as a special unit working for us. They put their serious life on the line. And having witnessed the many cases where the police have come under much fire, when they do their job and do it as well as our chief is leading our force, I would say that they should get what they need to get. I support it 100%. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Is there anyone else from any part of this auditorium that would like to come forward to make a comment about the budget? The proposed 2021-22 budget. Okay.
Mayor Jackie.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry. I'm missing something here. What are we about to do right now?
I'm about to close the public hearing, in which case we would move forward to consider adopting the proposed fiscal year 2021-22 budget ordinance, an abbreviated version of which you have in attachment 4B, and that the manager has proposed to us. And I just gave the manager an opportunity to capture, since Ms. Robertson, in her comments about the budget, referenced that meeting, to reference the upshot of the meeting, which was action in 3 separate areas. Yes, ma'am.
As a commissioner attending the budget or the personnel meeting that day, I was a little bit concerned about how we got from talking about merit pay to there. And it seems to me that we went about it in an inappropriate way. And I'm just wondering, you know, in my mind, it should have been handled in a very different fashion. We went there to talk about merit pay. Merit pay is still on the table, but we're also about to talk about a pay increase, and it is not that our city employees, it is not that they are not worthy of whatever the city can afford, but in my mind, there should be a time and a place and a way of figuring that out at the appropriate time. And in my mind, it should have possibly happened when we were talking about the budget itself. It didn't come up at that point. And it was asked at that point. I mean, so I am concerned at how we came about what we did, or the discussion. And I find it a little bit not the type of business that we should be dealing with in that fashion. You know, that was a personnel meeting that talked about merit pay, and we end up talking about something way over here. So now, are we now going to be tied to 4% pay increases plus a possible merit pay once we you know, and who, you know, so there's so much stuff left up in the air because of our actions. And I want our actions to be a little bit clearer and a little bit more attuned, and that when we come to a meeting, these are the things that we hope to accomplish and not way over here. I mean, so I'm honestly confused, and I am so sorry. I may be out of line.
No, you're not.
And this is not the business, how we should be handling our business. Okay, so I am, anyway, and I'm not saying that any of the employees are not entitled to whatever. I mean, but we could do it better.
So I can have a brief response to that, but I think it would be appropriate now just to make sure whether we have any more comments from the audience as part of the public hearing, if that's okay, and close the public hearing, and then I would like to make one response to that. So, is there anyone else who would like to come forward to speak about the budget at this time? There being none, I declare the public hearing closed. With that, my response would be, as I understand it, and certainly the manager or anyone else can speak to it, what I understand that came out of that meeting and we would approve tonight as part of the budget is the 4% cost of living increase across the board for all employees. At the same time, there will be work from the manager's office and the HR department and anyone else, possibly the personnel committee, to work out the details of a plan for a merit increase program. There will also be a concomitant line of study to work with department heads in all departments on developing a plan for career development, which puts in place opportunities for employees in all departments to earn pay increases, salary increases, and advance up the ladder of the pay scale of their rank regardless of department, so that we are looking at multiple ways of supporting our staff, including the police department. At the same time, as the manager mentioned, there will be this engagement with, did you say it's Miss Manning? Who will probably work in August to do a salary study that is very specific to the police department, given how the nature of policing has changed over the past 2 years, to make sure that we are still on par with our peer group, or whether or not we need to make an adjustment. And that should be finished hopefully by September. And armed with that information, it would come back to the board and a discussion would be had at that time regarding specific salaries for PD personnel. If that would require an adjustment to the budget, at that time the board would have that with the manager and make an according decision. Sometimes there's room and flexibility in the budget to make adjustments as needed without having to go back and make a budget amendment. Sometimes there's not. But that decision would come back to the board without, there would not be anything done in the background that the board is not very, very clear, and the public, about what our intent is. Have I captured that? Does that answer your concern about where we stand with the budget right now, tonight, and at the same time, these other bubbling issues that are on the table?
Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I'm on the Personnel Committee. I just remind everybody of 2 points. One, at no time was there ever anything said in opposition to pay raise, merit pay, development plan for people. Probably the biggest issue was, before you vote on an issue like that, you better be prepared to know how you're going to handle it, what are the issues involved, and get a plan together for implementation. How you going to train people to do assessments that would then lead to merit pay? So our concern at that point was not that we were against it, but we weren't ready to vote on it yes or no at that point. But we did want to proceed with a way to start answering these questions and see if we could validly move in to that direction.
Thank you, Commissioner. Now, Commissioner Gilreath, does that clear up? At least I know it doesn't clear up your concern that maybe we went about it the wrong way, but does it at least clear up your question about where we are with the budget?
Oh, well, yeah, I mean,
right now?
I know where we are. I mean, I'm just concerned of how we got here, but anyway, I'm good.
Okay, thank you. So with this, we will move forward to consider adopting the fiscal year 2022 budget ordinance, of which you have the supporting documentation in attachment 4B. And what is the pleasure of the board?
Motion.
A motion by Commissioner Tovey. Is there any discussion? Okay, no discussion. All in favor signal so by saying aye. Any opposed, like sign? Okay. That motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much, and I would like to thank our manager, our finance director, Hak Ung, and all of the city department heads and staff that worked very hard to prepare sound budgets for their departments and with the manager. So thank you so much for that work. And as former Mayor and Commissioner Al Woodliff always used to say, the only thing that is really firm about the budget is the tax rate, which has remained the same at 64 cents per $100 value of property, and everything else there is some flexibility to adjust as needed in the year ahead. So thank you all for that. At this time, we move forward to a public hearing to receive citizen input on the Planned Unit Development, or PUD, referred to as Ivy Meadows, located off of Ivy Day Road and North Country Club Drive. I now declare the public hearing open. Is there anyone in the section to our right that would like to come forward and speak on this issue? there anyone in the center section that would like to come forward and speak on this issue? Yes, sir. Please come to the podium and identify yourself by name and address and tell us what's on your mind.
Thank everyone very much for allowing us to speak. My name is Joseph Norris. I'm at 204 Meadowbrook Lane. I would also like to thank Ms. Hart and the Mayor for responding to a letter that I sent out earlier this week. I think most of the commissioners got it. Very happy with that response. I'd like to thank the representative of the developer for allowing the 20-foot buffer to go around. I've had many discussions with my neighbors, and that was one of our main concerns. So thank you very much for that. My only other real comment about the development at this time, I don't know if anyone has really thought about it, and I don't know if there's any plan for this, but the naming of the streets, I think I'd like to request that, if possible, none of the streets have the word meadow in them. At this point, we spend a lot of time hunting for our packages on neighbors' porches because we do have quite a few meadows in the neighborhood. So if that is at all possible, that would be greatly appreciated. And that's all I have to add for right now. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Mr. Norris.
Good point.
And thank you for taking the time to speak originally in the planning board meeting and then to send your comments to Ms. Hart and the rest of the board. And we appreciate that. That's how this system is supposed to work. So thank you very much. Anybody in the section to our left that would like to come forward to speak? Okay, well then, before I do a last call, we do have a letter that was sent to the board. It is to the Oxford Board of Commissioners, the Ivy Meadows PUD. Please read these comments aloud and enter into the record, as I will be unable to attend. He objects to this development, and this is sent by Jeff Derry, who used to live, I believe, on College Street in Oxford. No?
Meadowbrook. I think he lived on Meadowbrook.
He did? Okay. I apologize for that. He now lives in Oak Island, North Carolina. I object to this development for the following reasons. It will add much water runoff from this site to the Meadowbrook development, which even now often floods. The excess water from this development will invariably make its way into the literal Meadowbrook that transverses the development and makes an already bad situation worse. Planned urban development implies a homeowners association, or HOA. Do not approve of an HOA. They are a bad investment for the consumer. You never own your own home. You never own your home, the property management company does. Stop paying these ridiculous monthly dues and see how quickly they foreclose on your home. Pattern the development after other freestanding developments like Green Acres and Meadowbrook, where the homeowner owns their land title free and clear. With an HOA, your land title is not free and clear, but encumbered by the association forever. Commissioners, stop approving HOAs. Stop advocating for property management companies and advocate for people. HOAs are bad investments. Just ask the people in the Lexington Park community. Signed, Jeff Derry, Oak Island, North Carolina. And for one comment in response for anybody listening, to my understanding, and Ms. Hart, where are you? I'm not good at finding people listening in a group, as you can tell. If you want to speak further to this, but to my understanding, I recall in the discussion about this in the planning board meeting that all of the runoff is supposed to be captured. It is designed to capture the runoff from the impervious surface of the development internally in that development, so there would be no excess. Am I understanding that, or did I misunderstand?
You did not misunderstand, but I would like to recognize Mr. Stewart, who's here to represent the development, I'm sure.
Mr. Stewart, would you like to come forward and speak?
Good evening. My name is Mike Stewart. I'm with Stewart and Proctor Engineering and Surveying, here representing Bliss Homes, and would like to say that we have had the past year to work with staff to go over this plan and to try to accommodate everyone's concerns about the plan. And as part of the plan, the site is to be graded such that all the internal runoff from driveways, roadways, rooftops and stuff will in fact go into the storm sewer system that we have and go into a pond, a retention pond device that is shown on the plan, and that the pre-post development for the first year storm, 24-hour storm, will be retained in that, and it will be released into what will be a new culvert under Country Club Road. But in fact, all the neighbors surrounding the property should see less runoff, in fact, because we will be taking it internally to our development. As far as the gentleman's concern about homeowners associations and stuff, I would probably suggest to him to witness the number of subdivisions where you have volunteer dues and stuff to upkeep the signs, the streets, the open space, the playground areas and stuff. Nobody likes homeowners dues, but they serve a purpose, and when run correctly and stuff, they do a good job. So we will have one for this. There will be separate grades for that for the residential lots versus the townhome lots. Certainly the townhome lots, because they're private parking and stuff like that, theirs will be a more substantial cost. But we've worked well with the staff to try to meet their concerns with the neighbors for transportation, and I can assure you that I can tell you that there will be no streets with Meadow in the name. After 36 years of doing this, coming up with road names is one of the hardest things you can do when you have to have a unique name that is not confused with 911 calls anywhere else in the county. So you get a lot of rolling field, barn door, type names, because the oaks, the elms, the pines are gone. But we will strive hard not to use Meadow.
Thank you.
And I can answer any questions.
Yeah, absolutely. Colleagues, any questions for Mr. Stewart?
I've got one question.
Yes,
I think I know the answer to this anyway, but just to for Mr. Derry's sake, he says you never own the home free and clear. Is that true?
Well, most of the time the bank owns it for a while, but generally
yeah,
you do end up owning it free and clear.
Thank you. Any further questions for Mr. Stewart? Mr. Stewart, I have one that I raised earlier, and I believe Ms. Hart directed it to you, which was about, I believe our ordinance for a PUD requires a buffer or a 50-foot, minimum 50-foot wide transition area between development of different densities. So from what I saw in the plans, it looks like you have the backyards of single-family homes coming up, and then you have an area right now that is specified as being green space that looks like it's maybe about 30 feet wide, and then you have the backyards of the townhomes, which of course that would be differing densities. And so I was wondering, is that going to be planted with trees and so on to create kind of a natural buffer area between those two differing densely?
Yes, ma'am. And I responded back to Ms. Hart that what we've seen in general and in other places is that the townhomes, most of the time, and it would certainly be up to the developer at the time, will choose to erect a 6-foot high fence for privacy purposes, so that they only have a small spot. But and in most cases, a 6-foot high privacy fence actually acts as the buffer that you had, so you don't see and stuff. But if that is not sufficient, and certainly if it's not the case, we'll put evergreen shrubs and trees in that planting space.
So you aren't preparing the last part? I mean, is the developer of the townhomes separate from?
The townhomes final design will be something that we will still come back to the town,
Okay.
you know, to the city with
Okay.
and stuff.
So my question, I guess, for you and Ms. Hart is, does a fence meet the need of a buffer, which I understood was planted? How does that meet that need according to our ordinance?
Well, we wouldn't want to have regulations where people wouldn't have the option of having a fence, because some people do want that privacy.
Sure.
And if you don't have the fence, you don't have the true privacy that the fence offers.
Okay, so then I just have one last question, if I may. So would the fence be located, would that 30-foot wide green area be divided equally so that there's an extension to the backyard area of the townhomes? Or
The fence would be on the townhomes side of that area. The extra open space area would be towards the backyards of the lots.
So in essence, it becomes additional backyard for
It
the
does.
homeowner, but not the town homeowner?
It becomes a landscaping strip that the townhomes get to mow and keep up for the adjacent landowners.
Outside the fence, they would mow it outside?
The homeowners association, as part of their common space areas and stuff, they would mow that area outside of the fence. The homeowner inside the fence keeps his own yard
Okay.
up, puts his own little vegetable garden or whatever they choose to do in there. But outside the fence, that area is maintained by the townhome homeowners.
Interesting. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Any other further questions for Mr. Stewart, colleagues?
I was just wondering, how many, do you have an estimate of how many, once it's developed, how many people we're talking about? Additional people in our community?
Okay. If you go with the 85 residential lots, you could put 2.5 to 3 people on average, in that. So you're talking to 300 people or so with that. You take the townhomes, you probably average 2 on that, so a couple hundred people with that. So somewhere in the neighborhood of 500.
That certainly would put additional strain on our law enforcement and fire department, wouldn't
Yes,
it?
sir. Yes, sir. We hope not, but probably will.
And how many townhome units again? It was at 36?
36, I'm sorry. I was
Okay.
going off the top of my head with everything. It's 36 townhomes.
Okay. Thank you. That it, colleagues? Anybody else? Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Stewart. We appreciate your coming tonight and speaking. Last call, is there anyone from any section that would like to come forward to speak on this, on the Ivy Meadows PUD tonight? Yes, sir.
I would like to clarify one more thing. In the letter that you have from my neighbor, it talks about runoff. I'm very clear about the runoff and the problems with the runoff. That's a lot of people on the other side of the street from me have that issue because they actually back up to the creek. I'm confident that their plan will take care of the runoff. I'm not worried about runoff. I live on the high side, so my house is probably the highest house in the neighborhood. I don't think there's one higher up elevation-wise than mine. I have water issues that are not runoff, and my neighbors on the high side have water issues that are not runoff. We have a groundwater issue that lasts days and weeks after the rain, especially in the springtime when we get a lot. And so I think the concern that you see from us is, what changes will happen underground. I have put in a fourth French drain, and so my yard is actually dry now. But I spent most of the spring, the city came out and, redug a ditch for groundwater or for runoff water. But the French drains are what is actually drying my yard off. And so now I have, exits into the ditch so that, hopefully next spring as it rains, I won't have a swamp in my yard. I know my next door neighbor, who was at the previous meeting, she has actually had to have extensive work done underneath her house. And so sump pumps, drying systems and whatnot, because over time, since the field behind us has stopped being farmed, that water seems to have risen. We just don't understand what that issue is. So, I'm not worried about rain coming down and going down the gutter and running down my driveway into the street. I'm worried about the topography underground. Is there a clay berm? And just what kind of studies might have been done, what has been looked at. This neighborhood may have no impact on that whatsoever. We just don't know, and that was our concern, is just, what that answer might be.
Mr. Stewart, can you?
I can address it in general terms.
Yes, sir.
Surface water is what becomes groundwater. You have Triassic basin clays, shrink swell clays that are adept at holding water unless you give them a free out. You'll notice on our plan with our curb and gutter and storm drains, we are in a pseudo way actually putting in French drains just like you've done for your yard. All of our streets have storm drains, have boxes that capture not just the runoff, but the pipes that are in the ground will also have stone bedding and stuff that will act as the French drain. So we would, again, certainly not hurt, but maybe help.
And there's absolutely everything that is contained, like right now, the way it is undeveloped, there's probably some natural runoff that comes towards Meadowbrook. But with the regrading that you intend to do for the development and grading everything internally to feed to your retention pond, that even what is currently coming with pervious surface, that should go away, and everything. And I heard you mention earlier a culvert under.
We'll be replacing the culvert under
Country Club, but that won't have anything to do with.
No, it actually will help. It's undersized as it is right now locally. So with what comes out of our retention device will go through that culvert underneath the road.
Will that feed into Meadowbrook?
Yes. Not the creek itself.
Right, but that's part of the development that some people have flooding from.
And could be certainly from the undersized pipe system that you have in the road now. So we will not have an impact on that other than the fact that we'll be helping the drain system.
They are increasing the size of the downstream pipe for both their property and the existing meadow heights.
Right. But isn't some of the flooding issue related to the size of the brook on the other side of the road so that it just can't accommodate the amount of water that's coming through? So if it exits and as you go through the subdivision, it starts to get blocked up, which I believe I've heard complaints about. So if the capacity of this brook gets overwhelmed by the runoff coming from the culvert, does that not then impact those people's yards that are bordering the stream?
I think the current issue is the piping is the undersized getting downstream, and because the pipes are not large enough to convey what is in the backyards of Meadowbrook, it cannot get down to Cross Country Club. It can't even get down to there to discharge.
Okay.
There could be multiple issues, but that is certainly one of them.
Okay, thank you. Excellent. Any further questions for Mr. Stewart, or any further comments from the audience? We let Mr. Norris speak because he had already come forward. If you want to come forward and speak.
I just have one quick question. Where is the
pond on this site. And on the downstream side of the pond, there's a culvert where the stream cuts basically the property line from Ivy Day. There's a stream that runs under Ivy Day that runs under Country Club about midway in this property. And comes from,
Toward the Ivy Day end.
it comes from Ivy Day, cuts the corner of the Ivy Day Country Club intersection, and cuts across Country Club going away.
I have a creek that goes behind my house, and, but it's near 12 Ridge Road. It's not near there. That's not where you're talking about where it's running to, or that this new pipe is gonna open that up for more water to go through there.
This is between Bluegrass and Ivy Day.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any further comments? With that, I declare the public hearing closed. Thank you, Mr. Stewart. And the recommended action is, and I realize that I did not, I think Mr. Stewart said this, but I'm going to still read the narrative here, that the city has been working with the developers for the past year regarding this is a 35.77 acre planned unit development consisting of 85 single-family houses and 36 townhomes. The Ivy Meadows PUD will consist of 4,570 linear feet of new street system, curb and gutter, and sidewalks. The average lot size is 12,000 square feet, and the minimum lot size being 8,825 square feet. And colleagues, you have the support information in attachment 4D. The recommended action is that staff and the planning board recommend approving the planned unit development referred to as Ivy Meadows, located off Ivy Day Road and North Country Club Drive. What is the pleasure of the board?
Motion.
Okay, that's like Commissioner Bullock and Bridges, I think, concomitantly. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor signal so by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign? That motion carries unanimously. There is nothing else to consider under city business. We move forward to the consent agenda, which is to accept the May finance report by Finance Director Ung and approve the May 3rd agenda meeting and May 11th regular meeting minutes. What is the pleasure of the board?
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Curran. Any discussion? All in favor signal so by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign? That motion carries unanimously. And before, we will not adjourn until we go into executive session. But I will ask, starting with Commissioner Gilreath, is there anything that you would like to make a comment on tonight?
No, thank you.
That was a no. Okay. Commissioner Tovey.
Yes, one thing I'd just like to remind the board that a few weeks ago we had a very eloquent speaker, Miss Holly Batten, an attorney, about a new tethering law for dogs within the city. And I've been looking into it. I think Miss Hart looked into it. I think you've all got this that I gave you. I just want to know, I'd just like you to keep it in mind that we will be talking about this sooner rather than later, I think. Just to remind you.
So is this going to be, are you going to bring it up in?
I'm going to bring it up, and hopefully we'll get a new ordinance with regards to tethering dogs all day, every day, 7 days a week, 52 weeks a year.
Okay.
That are left out. It's a cruel thing. So.
Excellent. Thank you. So in the meantime, everybody read your information from Commissioner Tovey, correct?
Right.
And wait, stay tuned for more
Stay
information.
tuned.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Bridges.
Yeah, I can think of a meeting that I have enjoyed the discussion as much as the meeting today. We started out with programs that feed into our youth and try to get them to be better citizens and get their education. And so, I'm happy to hear that Ms. Puryear is going to be leading up that program, because our youth are our future. Whether we like it or not, you're going away from here. And it's good that we are putting together programs to encourage our youth to do positive things. And then after that, Mr. Carr talked about something that, this board has flipped around, gone underground, gone around and up and down about a swimming pool for our youth. And I'm talking about all of our youth. And I hope that this board will, and I've expressed this before. Y'all know it's not the first time I've talked about the fact that we need to have a swimming pool that's open to all of our youth in this community. We're past the days when, we have separate facilities for certain folk. And then, in addition to that, I'm happy to hear that we're talking about our law enforcement. And, they got an award today, and we kind of gloss over that. Our law enforcement, it seems like every couple of years gets some kind of award for the excellence that they serve our community. But for the grace of God, knock on wood, we haven't had some of the things that have happened on the national level in this community. And that's because if you got well-trained police officers, I don't care what they look like, but they are trained to deal with the public. You don't have a whole bunch of rookies, then, we are a safer community. And so we better invest in our law enforcement. I have had many business people call me and talk to me about the fact that as soon as they get used to an officer that comes by their business and talks to them and they feel comfortable with them, they move on. I don't know, higher pay, I don't know, take-home vehicles. And I know Commissioner Curran reminded me that we do have a take-home policy, but apparently it may not be a take-home policy that is as good as other departments. So I'm glad we're talking about merit pay. We're discussing it, and I want it to be fair too. If we're gonna have merit pay, manager, yes, I want it to be fair, but I don't want us to keep delaying this like we're doing, with the recreational facility, a swimming pool, where Mr. Carr talked about our children can relax. And it'd be kind of nice if we have a mix of children in one facility. It might make our community better. Down the road, I'll probably be gone and dead, but it's time for us to do some positive things in our community. And, career development, merit pay, and, 4% raise for our city employees, I support that. We have to be, we have to watch how we're spending the tax dollars. I heard somebody scream at one of our meetings, it's gonna cost $30 million to build a swimming pool. It's not gonna cost that much money. It's gonna cost some money, but it's gonna benefit our community. And then last but not least, the discussion about this development. We got development, that means more people. And it's gonna put a strain on our fire department, and our police department. Because if you put fire detectors in homes like our fire department does, it goes around and it puts, detection devices in homes, and I guess some of it's done free, right? Okay. That's going to be a lot of units to put them things up in, so that's going to put a little pressure on our fire department. And rest assured, nice communities need police officers too. Because husbands and wives fight, children get unruly, and I don't care how much money you make. I got proof. And so I'm happy with the discussion tonight because I feel like we're moving in the right direction. And I just hope that we will continue to move in this direction with our community. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Curran.
No.
Okay, thank you very much. I would like to make a comment on behalf of Commissioner Fields, who is not able to be here. She had somebody ask her a question about doing fireworks at home on July 4th because nobody else is doing fireworks. And so do we have an ordinance that governs this? Or do I need to send her to talk to the fire chief? Send her to talk to, you'll be proud of me because that's what I suggested earlier today, that I thought you were the man. Okay, so I will let her know. But do we have any kind of general guidelines, Chief Cottrell?
We do, and also the state of North Carolina does. We got to get more possible.
Okay, maybe, Alyssa, this could be a topic for a post possibly, because I suspect hers won't be the only question. So excellent, thank you very much. And I would also like to point out, we have dates to remember. Everyone may, excuse me, no, I know, I'm gonna just because I wanna add something to this. So May 6th through the 24th, quitting time, June 1st through the 30th, Love local X's and O's game. June 4th is already passed. June 7th is already passed. But June 30th, Reverend Ronnie Morton will be doing a ribbon cutting for Hope House, which is on Orange Street?
Orange Street,
yes. Okay, thank you. From 10 to 2 p.m. Right at this time, remarks estimated are scheduled for 10:30 in the morning. So I just wanted to give my board a heads up, and the public, I'm sure will hear more about it, but I did want to make sure I got that in because that will come before our next board meeting. So with that, Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you. Congratulations to the police department on your award tonight. I sincerely thank you all for your hard work. Thank you to the fire department. I said it previously in a meeting to Ms. Cheek. I asked her about, it was when we were on Zoom, about having the basketball goals painted in at Rucker Park. I think it was done within a month. And I wanted to publicly thank you since we were back because a lot of people weren't on Zoom. So thank you so much for handling that so quickly. When does the paving begin? I've had a lot of questions about the paving, and then the roundabout. I know that's going on now on Main Street, but the paving for the different streets that we've already discussed.
Amy, you want to take that?
No, I was going with you.
I'll attempt to do it to the best of my ability, and Amy, correct me if I'm wrong. The contractor has been selected by the DOT to perform that work. They are being given from when to when?
They are being given from the beginning of July of this year until November of next year.
Okay.
And we have 4 streets that we have requested that they delay paving on for the utility installation, but the other streets they can proceed with anytime after the 1st of July.
Okay. more question. The street lights in areas where, who does citizens need to speak with about street lights?
Public Works Director,
Okay,
Stephen Blaska.
all right.
And is it reasonable to have Stephen, where did you go?
He's here.
Raise your hand, yes, because this is the first time many of us have seen Stephen bigger than on a Zoom screen. So maybe you can stand up and wave just so Stephen Blasko, our new Public Works Director, who started in,
Steve, when did you start? Oh, it's all been a blur. So, at least 2 or 3 months. But,
So
yes.
I tried to explain it to the best of my ability, but I will give someone your number about a street light. From my understanding, it's supposed to be so many feet between each street light, and one at the beginning of the street, the end of the street, and in the middle of the street. Is that correct? Okay. So this person, I think, will qualify. And that's all I have. Thank you.
I think, at the intersections, is the middle of the street come up if the distance between the intersections is more than 500 feet?
It's late in the evening. That's much too technical.
But
a
I feel like there's a length thing in there.
I was just trying to explain it to the lady, to the best of my ability.
Just have him get in touch with us, and we'll break out our engineer scales and go out there and figure that out.
Okay, excellent. Commissioner Bullock, last but not least.
Nothing.
Okay. Mr. Manager, anything else?
Just a couple of things. One, Mayor Pro Tem did mention the fact that the traffic circle project has started. They were out there beating and banging today to, I hope everybody understands that there's concrete underneath the asphalt, and that's what's challenging for them. But it's a 6-week project, so we'll be dealing with some traffic concerns and issues, and please bear with us to the best of your ability. As we get through that project, I think the end product will be worth the wait. The other is that there was a request for there to be a report or an update regarding the Armory. The Armory continues to be a potential desirable option or destination for the community college to develop a workforce development center in that. As a matter of fact, I have a meeting scheduled this month with Dr. DeMaris, the county manager, the EDC director, and a grant writer from the Council of Governments to sit down and formulate a plan to pursue how we can potentially find funding to renovate that facility to prepare it for that potential option. So that is what is going on with that. They are still quite interested in pursuing that. As that develops a little bit more, especially after this meeting coming up in June, I will report back to the board what is going on with that.
Excellent. Commissioner Bullock, I believe that was your question. Do you have anything further you would like to ask?
Just wanted an update.
Okay, excellent. Thank you.
You're very
Any other
welcome.
questions from the board for the manager?
One other thing that I will add,
excuse me?
the mayor was talking about dates to remember and mentioning a lot of these activities. We keep them pretty current on our website, so please, if you'd like to better understand when these events are taking place, because there's a lot of things happening now that we're finally coming out of the pandemic and people are wanting to get back together and to gather and to do things and have social opportunities. We've got a number of activities scheduled, so please visit the website and look for those activities and please participate. A lot of them have been very, very well received, and I think there's more coming, so they're on the website pretty much on a regular basis and updated.
And if I may, they are in 2 spots. They're on the calendar and under city, the little round tab, city events. So there's 2 spots you can find them.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Okay. Mr. Burnett, anything you would like to add?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So with that, I would entertain a motion to go into executive session. And motion from Commissioner Tovey, and I wish all of you a lovely evening and rest of your week. You just do not know how nice it is to be back meeting in person, and we are happy to have you here. And if you have any further questions for anybody, please don't hesitate to reach out. Are we voting on, what are we voting on? Oh, yeah, we have a motion, yes. All in favor of going into closed session, signal so by saying aye. Any opposed? Going into closed session, thank you all.
This thing right here keeps me.
Yeah,
can't
you
go
know,
that way at all.
that's right. I remember that. I remember that. This used to be my chick. I think.
No,
He said, you want it back?
No, it's not at all.
Yeah, I think